Welcome friends, welcome to Simzuu.
Basically, what are the requisites of defamation? Defamation has got certain requisites. First is that you expose a person to ridicule, you expose him to hatred, you expose him to the society in such a manner that the society shuns him. If all of these things happen, well, then you are engaging into defamation. Then is injuring a person in a profession or his trade. Well, everybody is supposed to do ethical practice, and everybody in India, of course, I will say, is supposed to be ethical till it is proved that he is unethical in his trade or in his profession or practice. And lastly is to be caused to be shunned by society. Shunned by society, well, there are ways and means wherein you write a scurrilous article and then you lampoon and slander people with the same brush, so as to expose him to the world, so as to ensure that the world laughs at him, the world ridicules him, the world ostracizes him, removes him from society, and this is what he is left with. And as I told you, Shakespeare said that my name is the best possession I have on earth, and he who filches me of my name deprives me of everything. This will be a good case for defamation. Then friends, say humor. You write poems in such a fashion, you create humor. There are so many examples which we could give. There are so many poets who are full with humor. Hasya Kavi. So he writes, and then he writes so many things against the government also. And then we all enjoy it. And moreover, let me tell you, Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, that is fundamental right of speech and expression, is available in India. Of course, it can be curtailed under Article 19 into bracket 1 into bracket 2 to bracket 6. That is reasonable restrictions. Law and order, morality, all of those things will come into picture. So there cannot be an unbridled right that I can talk anything and I can speak anything or can write anything. Well, that can be curtailed also. But this does not mean that you don't have a fundamental right of speech and expression, that is you and me put together, both of us. We both have it. But then when you defame somebody, you have to understand as to what are the contours, what are the parameters, what is the periphery of your talk, or what is the periphery or the contour of what you are writing, whether it is prose or whatever. Then friends, what is an innuendo? Innuendo is that sometimes you defame a person, the plain meaning is something else and the couched meaning is something else. So the plain meaning, nothing is there, and the couched meaning is something else. And then there could be so many examples which we could give. There are some taglines also, or informative tagouts also. I mean, you put up the tagout in such a manner or the tagline in such a manner that people tend to laugh, people tend to understand as to it refers to this person. And then so many examples could be given of that. But the question is, the plain meaning is something and the couched meaning is something. We know, for example, so many examples into history also, wherein people have been defamed, and there are defamatory cases which have been filed. They are very famous defamatory cases. Say, big actors like Anupam Kher, there was a case which he had filed also. Then we had actress Khushbu, there was a case in her name. So likewise, there are many people, but the question is, what is an innuendo? Innuendo, the plain meaning is something and the couched meaning is something. So you have to understand, or the maker of the sentence, or the author of the sentence, he would utter the sentence in such a manner that everybody understand it refers to him. Innuendo, friends, has to be proved. And then we see what is a defense for defamation. What is a defense? There are certain defenses. First defense is justification or truth. What I say is true. To call a mad person may be not very conducive in a civil society, but this is no offense. Suppose if I call somebody mad and he files a defamatory case against me and I produce a certificate from the mental hospital that yes, he is mad and this is the doctor's certificate, there is no defamation, because that would constitute as the truth. So truth is the biggest defense as far as defamation is concerned. The second is a fair and a bona fide comment. Well, in India, Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution is fundamental right of speech and expression. And you can really criticize anything, you can make a fair and a bona fide comment. So friends, the second defense is a fair and a bona fide comment. That whatever comment I have made in a democratic society in India is fair and bona fide. Say for example, I remember an interview by Amitabh Bachchan himself wherein he said that I told my children, that is Abhishek and Aishwarya, that if you are public figures, if you are celebrities, people are going to talk about you. People want to know which dress you wear, people want to know which toothpaste you use. And if you don't want you to be under the scanner of the people's eye, then don't be a celebrity. I mean, I remember in one of the interviews he did make a mention of something like this. But then friends, legitimate criticism is not a tort. What is a tort? A tort is a civil wrong. So legitimate criticism is not a wrong itself. It should be legitimate, of course. And then in a civilized society, we should have the liberty of criticism, and of course we must that should be allowed, because if liberty of criticism is not allowed, we would have no purity of taste nor of morals. And many judges have commented upon this. So the question is that we ought to be making a fair and a bona fide comment. And it could be made in so many manners. On what can you make? Say matters of the state. What is the state doing? I am a citizen of India. I can really comment upon that. And that is why we see people commenting upon the politician on the say money earned by politicians. That till yesteryears he was earning 60 rupees per day, and now he's built a mansion of 60 crores. From where did he bring the money? Yes. There are so many examples wherein, say, even the governor of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. N.D. Tiwari, there was somebody who claimed to be his son, and then the DNA sample was taken. And it was proved that yes, he is his son. So can you comment on this? The answer is yes, it should be a legitimate and a fair criticism. Then there are theatre personalities. We comment upon theatre personalities. We comment upon, say, famous personalities, authors, writers, and so many of them, poets, that say he is such a great personality. This is what he is into bigamy or polygamy, and then whether this is allowed. And then you see your Filmfare and all those Star and Style and Stardust and all those film magazines are there. Half the stuff is of this nature itself. But the question is, it should not be defamatory. It should be a fair and a legitimate comment. And then say a journalist also. A journalist, say for example, R.K. Karanjia, or we had Arun Shauri or Kuldeep Nayyar, and all of these have made comments which can be called as legitimate and fair, because that constitutes a valid defense as far as defamation is concerned. Or say we are having movies also. You can make a fair comment upon movies. There were some controversial movies such as, say, Bandit Queen, Fire, Water, or say Dada Kondke movies in state of Maharashtra, and people have commented upon that. And then your comment only has to be fair. It has to be a legitimate comment, because legitimate criticism is not a tort itself. Okay. And then friends, we are having a privilege. Privilege is, we have a parliamentary proceeding and a judicial proceeding. Anything which is spoken on the floor of the House of the Parliament is a privileged occasion. At least some place should be there in India where some person can utter some words without fear and without favor. So there should at least be some place where people could say it fearlessly. And all of these are, say, could be spoken of as privileged occasions. So on the floor of the House of the Parliament, you can say something. Of course, the other parameters would come into picture, public interest and this and that. Then are state proceedings in the Vidhan Sabha or in the Vidhan Parishad. You can say something in the public interest, and then as far as the state is concerned, what you say on the floor of the house is also a privileged occasion. Then there are judicial proceedings. Just think of a situation if the judge is afraid of the litigants, then how would the judgment be? The judge, like Caesar's wife, should be above suspicion also, and he should be in a position to act fearlessly, without fear and without favor. He will just believe the evidence which is in front of him. So whatever a judge writes, these are his observations during the course of his judicial proceedings, and then he might criticize somebody, he might call somebody a liar, he might say that he does not believe somebody. But then when a judge says this, he says it in the judgment, and a judicial proceeding itself gives a privilege to a judge. And then we are having military and naval proceedings also. I mean, something very analogous to judicial proceedings. There we have a court martial, and then we have stories like, say, Colonel Larkins, who divulged secrets to Pakistan, and this and that. So there has been criticism as far as that is also concerned. But then military and naval proceedings and state proceedings and judicial proceedings constitute a good defense as far as defamation is concerned. Now friends, in this video we are just considering the total gamut of defamation in whatever is the time available. But the question is, what is defamation? You have a reputation and I have a reputation. Defamation, friends, before I part with this video, defamation arises when third person knows it. Needless to point out, friends, that defamation is civil also and criminal also. Okay, so this is the total gamut or the periphery or a framework we can see in which we are going to see defamation. Friends, I will always insist that when you see our videos on defamation, you try to see it in a chronological sequence, that is part 1 first, and then the part 2 and the part 3, the next one of the last one. Okay, so this being a long drawn out topic, we are going to divide it into 3 videos. So friends, it's time for me to bid a goodbye, and in our journey of sharing and imparting knowledge, meet you soon in the next video again on defamation. Okay, thank you friends.